broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. This edition of Gun Guy Radio is supplied by Alien Gear Holsters. AlienGearHolsters.com.
Welcome to episode 153 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challand, and this is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And it's that episode of the month you've all been waiting for, where Paul Levy, the products spotlight manager, correspondent, whatever his title is this week, joins us. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Jake, I go by that same title here at work.
It's a long business card. Well, very cool. You're fresh back from SHOT Show, which I skipped at the last minute. So how was SHOT Show overall? How was the experience?
It was a good time, of course. Pretty busy on our end. It was a lean year for a lot of manufacturers, but the mood at this SHOT Show is actually pretty good. A lot of people are pretty excited about 2015. Some pretty cool new products. On the gun side, I didn't see a whole lot, just complete firearms ready for market. There's a lot of kind of just refined versions of stuff unveiled last year. If we could run through a few products that kind of stood out, if you'd like to go over a few of those.
Yeah, sure, and then we'll dive more in the product spotlight here in a little bit. Yeah, go for it.
Some things that stood out to me anyways. The SIG line, they have some optics coming out. They're pretty cool and they're really nice. Didn't expect to see that from SIG. They kind of revamped their whole accessory line. And, of course, they had all sorts of new guns out. The MCX, a little MP5 looking AR-type gun. Then, of course, Magpul had a lot of new products. I'll try and get those on the podcast as soon as I can, but they don't even have production versions of a lot of their parts. They're just so excited they want to get the word out on a lot of these. The D60 mag, which will be out later this year. It's a 60-round 5.56 polymer drum for the AR-15. It's going to retail about $130. Pretty cool. Glock magazines, that was a big talk. Glock magazines for $15.15. That's the retail. So that's pretty exciting. I'll try and get my grubby hands on this stuff as soon as I can and get it over here.
Did you see anything that really kind of piqued your interest? Kind of something that was innovative?
No, this year is a lot of refinement, I'd say. I was really hoping there'd be some really innovative stuff, but it's a lot of just kind of refined lines and really kind of doing things better or at a lower price point. That's really what I kind of saw this year. We're going to have some cool stuff. Hopefully I can get some samples here soon. I'm pretty excited about some M16A1 and A2 barrels we're going to have. We're going to have replica barrels coming that match the original GI prints. So those are pretty cool. That's not exactly innovative. It's just getting those parts back to market that people can't find to the specs that they want and the profile they want. So that's exciting. Also going to have a 1911 22 conversion magazine. It's actually up on the website already. I'll bring that on here next time. It's a pretty cool little guy. Really on the innovative side, the most innovative stuff was probably like the Desert Tech bullpup, Kel-Tec's bullpup that they showed last year. But this show they kind of have their finalized version, their production versions that they're going to have fairly soon. Just a lot of refinement. It's still cool to see.
Very cool. Well, if you're online and you're shopping Amazon, please check out our Amazon affiliate link before you fill up and check out with that shopping cart. So you can bookmark firearmsradio.tv/Amazon the next time you're shopping. And as always, you can shop Brownells as well with our Brownells affiliate link. Just check the website for those affiliate banners. And also, just a reminder, we launched the FRN Patreon campaign, the way you can easily crowdfund all the shows on the network. If you want to contribute to the network as a whole, go to patreon.com/FRN. It's that time again for the main topic, where we feature several awesome tools, gun parts, gear, Whatever Paul brings on the show. What's your main focus this week? A little gunsmithing?
Yeah, we got a little gunsmithing. I think we hit on it here recently, and actually one of these parts is similar to one I brought on not too long ago. But we're actually seeing some pretty neat parts on the gunsmithing side, both from outside vendors and then stuff we're kind of sourcing or just stumbling across here in-house. The first one, a lot of people are probably seeing already. It's just been on the market for about 2 months. It's the BEV block from Magpul.
You know what? I had actually not seen it before, believe it or not. Oh, you haven't? No.
Okay.
I'm kind of blown away at this. So it's been out a few months.
Yeah, it's been out probably about a month and a half. They shipped them there in December or so. And what it is, people are familiar with assembling AR-15s. It's kind of a mix between the reaction rod or the barrel rod that Brownell sells, a lower receiver vice block, and all those things combine in kind of this neat little tool. And it kind of attaches a little different. Those watching can see that it's this kind of just this block with what looks like a bolt face in the top.
Yeah, it looks like sorry to interrupt. It looks like a magazine with like it's magazine shaped and it's black polymer and it has like that bolt, almost like a bolt glued on top.
Yep, it's got this bolt pretty much on the top, which interfaces with your barrel extension, and the rear of it has a little O-ring, which you just slide a carrier in to lock over that, and that really locks in your upper receiver and your barrel when you're moving the barrel nut. And it also has a hole on this lower portion to lock into the upper receiver. So it's kind of a different take on removing barrels or putting on barrels onto upper receivers. And I did bring an upper over just so I can demonstrate to at least our viewers
cool.
To kind of demo how it works. And also got that for a product here, bring it on here in a sec. So here's your standard AR-15 upper receiver. And take the block, of course, make sure it's unloaded, it's clear. And basically the BEV block inserts up through the magazine where it would interface with the upper receiver, and then place it into the barrel extension where the bolt interfaces. And there, I don't know if you could hear that for audio listeners, it just kind of locks in there. Right now it's not ready to go just yet. There's a pin here where your takedown pin is. It's supplied with 3 polymer pins that you just insert there to lock it in place. And you can operate from there. It's not going anywhere. But you'll also want to insert your carrier into the rear, and that'll lock onto the rear of the BEV block. And there you heard it lock in place. That's snug. And then you can throw it in you will need a vise. Then you can throw it in your vise, and then you can take off your barrel nut, remove your handguard, do any work as needed. And you'll notice, too, I have a giant Vortex PST on this. I didn't have to remove an optic. I didn't have to, clamp anything around the upper receiver.
Right.
So I can swap barrels. I can change out muzzle devices. It'll be really handy for that if you're just swapping muzzle devices and you have an optic mounted and you don't want to, remove your optic, anything like that. You're happy with where it is. So it's pretty handy in that regard.
Yeah, I would have never thought that you could take the vice block for an AR to the next level, but Magpul seems like they have here.
Yeah, it's pretty clever. I was hoping to have the wrench too. They have a new wrench as well, and that's not quite as innovative, but it's still kind of redesigned. Makes a bit more efficient use of the space on the wrench. But the BEV block, the construction, it's pretty dense. It's dense polymer on the bottom portion that you clamp into the block, and then it's actually a steel shank on this top portion. This top lug interface that interfaces with your extension is steel, and then it extends down below. That's one block of steel in there.
Really? Okay.
So that's not torque. All that torque that's being applied is being applied on that extension face that's steel, and then it's channeled down to the polymer block. The polymer block is really just holding it in the vise and kind of keeping everything in place. Really, the torque or any forces isn't being applied to that polymer.
Very cool, and it comes in a really good price point right now on Brownell's. It's $47.95, so that's good value, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty good price point. It's right in there where with other upper blocks are, and some people have personal preference on which tools they're going to use for that. And that price point just allows you to kind of experiment with what's going to work best when you're swapping barrels, swapping muzzle devices, that sort of thing. And you want to make sure this cropped up here is you want to make sure you got your upper solidly locked in place in your barrel, and you're using the proper tools, even when you're swapping out a muzzle device, because you don't want to improperly apply torque to that barrel extension pin, or else you can mess things up pretty good. So use the right tools anyways.
Yeah, don't want to throw off your headspace in or anything.
Yeah. And then next up, we got some cool tools, actually from Brownell's. They're these nice big chunks of pretty brass. They are dovetail punches. So we've, of course, carried punches for a long time, and some in alternating sizes. They're usually just cylinders, though, just your standard punch of what you think of a punch. These have the front portion basically cut to the same dovetail dimensions. These are 1911s right here, of a rear and then a front dovetail. So basically you get the maximum amount of surface area applied to that front or rear sight when you're going to remove it or install it. So you get a nice impact, and everything, all that energy is transferred to the site, and it's going to go smoothly in place. You're not bending punches. You're not misaligning it. So it really makes efficient use. And actually for removal, these are pretty handy because it's just so massive. It knocks it out pretty quick. You got a lot of material here.
Yeah, that is so smart to have a punch that is the same shape as your sight dovetail. That is pretty awesome.
The other nice thing, of course, since they're brass, they're not going to mar anything. So when you're installing that new sight set or on your nice 1911, you're not marring the slide or your new sights. So pretty handy there.
Yeah, they're also, for considering that they're brass and everything, they're a good price point, $9.99 and $11.99, or is that a set of both of them for $21.99?
Yep, you can get a set too. And this is it's a big chunk of brass. It's basically half of a magic marker or so of brass.
That's pretty awesome.
Of course, you can use it as a punch for anything else. That's a pretty big surface area, but it really is catered for dovetail installation or removal. And then a cool product, back to the AR-15, and really a similar product. This one, it's so new. It's here late January 29th when we're recording this. I don't know if you want me to tell people that, Jake. But here is the Geissele Super Reaction Rod. This isn't even on our website or theirs. They've announced it, I believe. Hopefully I'm not screwing anything up there. But it's similar to their reaction rod, if you're familiar with that. I brought it on here previously. Like the BEV block used for installing AR-15 barrels onto upper receivers and installing the barrel nut. So it looks pretty much the same. It's got the same flats. But on the ejection port side here, you'll notice it's a little bit different. It has these two brass inserts that are meant to take the load off your barrel extension. And the neat thing about this, unlike a lot of AR-15 tools, maybe the upper clamps do as good a job. They probably do. But it's really going to remove any chance that if you have a stuck barrel nut or you're torquing really hard on that barrel nut, something's not quite, you just need that extra, thousandths just to get everything aligned. You're not going to run the risk of damaging that index pin or your upper. What these do is they take the load of that torque and they assign it to that ejection port on your upper receiver. So it's got a little brass insert here that you remove before installing. And then once it's in your upper, you screw these in, and there's two noted. You install one first or the other first, depending on if you're removing or putting on a barrel nut. And that allows the force to not only be applied to that barrel extension, but to the ejection port on your upper receiver. So that when you're torquing down 80 foot-pounds, it's not all going to one spot on your upper. It's spread out. You're not damaging anything. Especially handy for armors who are dealing with a lot of factory-installed barrel nuts, which can be put on quite tight, or there's some type of thread locker that you weren't aware of. So that allows you to get the barrel nut off without destroying your upper, the barrel, or just pretty much everything. So really a heavy-duty use armorer's tool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I would have never even thought of using the ejection port as another place to, spread the force out too.
Yep. And it's another aspect too. I've used the Geissele reaction rod for a while now, and it's a pretty handy tool. But one thing you might run into when you're installing barrels or working on your upper is there's nothing to retain the upper receiver on the rod. So it wants to occasionally slide forward on it. The nice thing about these, if you put that in place, that upper's not sliding back and forth. It's not going to slide off and drop on your shop floor or anything. If, say, your reaction rod shifts in the vise. So really pretty handy there.
Now, those little brass pieces that you screw in, you take those all the way out to put this in?
You have to take those all the way out because the diameter of the reaction rod is the interior diameter of your upper receiver. So you have to take those out first and then install it, and then whichever one is noted as the first installation, they're marked on the reaction rod. Tighten first for removing barrel nut, tighten first for installing barrel nut. So there's two there. You just install the appropriate one, tighten it all the way, and then just install the other. And that they're kind of angled so that whichever one is installed first puts load on either the bottom or on the top of the ejection port, depending on if you're installing or removing the barrel nut. So it's pretty clever design, distributes that load, and just really ensures you're not destroying your gun or whoever's gun you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it comes in at a good price point. It's going to be, around the $100 range?
Yeah, the standard reaction rod is $100. I believe this one's a little over that. I want to say it's about $130, but don't hold me to it. Bill, guys, they might get mad at me if I start.
Okay, sorry. I'm throwing numbers out there, and it's never.
I'm sorry. I should have brought the price in there with me, but it's not much more, and it's probably worth it if you're dealing with a lot of those troublesome uppers and barrel nuts.
Right. Yeah, for sure. If you're doing a lot of that, even as a hobbyist, I can really see that coming in handy.
Yeah, I've come across it, and it's just some manufacturer will just torque that down just a silly amount for whatever reason, and they're kind of a bear to get off, or even getting barrel nuts lined up sometimes. If you're just installing the standard barrel nut so you can get the gas tube through, that extra little distance can sometimes be pretty challenging.
Alien Gear Holsters, the most comfortable and concealable holsters on the planet, is offering big savings with our new 2-holster combo. Now you can buy 2 complete holsters for as little as $49.88. Choose from any available holster styles and colors for the guns of your choice. All of Alien Gear's quality products are made right here in the USA and include a 30-day trial, forever warranty, and free shell trades for life. Visit aliengearholsters.com today.
We got from Lumberton Arms, we got these little sand detail sanders. It's a detailing kit, actually. It comes with some various sanding tools. It's this polymer body with an outer sanding strip, and they're various grits. Really pretty neat. Our gunsmith guys brought these on. So when you're doing metal prep or really woodworking too, you can get into those little detailed areas. One end is a narrow. It comes to a narrow point, so you can really get into those tight areas that you wouldn't normally be able to get into if you just say had a pad of sandpaper or another strip. This comes to a nice point. You don't have to work up something in the shop. It's a dedicated tool, so you can get into those really tight spaces that you want to get nice and polished up. And the other end is also chamfered too, so you could work using that tool. When you install the strip, it snugs up on its own, so it's nice and tight. You'll see that it's not like if you're working, that strip is not going to fall off. But this is really for detailed prep, prior to getting something ready to go. Comes in the various grits. And of course, you can color code them. It comes with the 4 different strips here. I'm going to look and see what grits they come in.
And for listeners, they really look like pens or like an exact knife or something, that kind of a shape.
Yep, and this is really for the gunsmith that's doing prep work, really going to be doing some detail work. If you're a woodworker, too, it'd probably come in handy if you're doing some really intricate stuff. And here's the 4 it comes with. And then here's the little belts. Bring those out if I can get them out of there. So there that is there. So the belts also come with it, so you can swap those out. Like I said, they snug right up. It's pretty easy. So it comes with the belts here, and then you get the various I'd call them pens, I guess.
Yeah.
You got your detailer kit.
Yeah, and those belts wrap like all the way around the pen, like long ways. And then I'm assuming that if you're using the tip a lot, as you're using it, you can probably rotate that.
Yeah, like I'll do it right here. You can just rotate that. If you'll see it, this one actually was used with some wood. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
But you can just rotate it around. You just apply a little bit of pressure. You'll see how snug that is. Like it's not. It takes a little bit of pressure to actually get that belt to move. So that's a lot of life in just the one strip. So you'd have to be doing a lot of work to go through all these, in a pretty quick amount of time. And they're meant to be disposable anyways. They're not crazy price point. So it's just another nice little tool for that smith who's, or the hobbyist who's, wants to polish something up, rework something.
They're
really
only about $20 for the kit. They go from 80 grit to 600 grit. So that's a pretty good range.
Yeah, they get nice and fine there.
But
and then I have one more item I wanted to talk about. Not really gunsmith, but I had it on my desk, and it's so simple and clever. I wanted to bring it over. This is the Mesa Tactical 20 gauge to 12 gauge stock adapter, and it's just this little steel plate here. And I don't think there's anything else on the market. At least I wasn't aware of one. It'll say you have a 20 gauge Remington 870. This will take your stock. You place this at the end of your receiver, and now all of a sudden you can accept any 12 gauge stocks. Which there's, of course, a ton of different 12-gauge stocks out there on the market. There's hardly any 20-gauge aftermarket stocks.
That is really smart. Yeah.
So pretty cool. 20-gauge is actually gaining some ground as far as use for slugs and hunting in general, because it's a pretty capable gun. And this is kind of a cool little adapter, so you can use all those, folding stock, recoil-reducing stocks on your 20-gauge. So just wanted to bring it on. Nothing, fancy, but it's just kind of a simple design, and it's going to, I think, meet a lot of needs for a lot of 20-gauge users.
It might also come in handy for people who have a custom stock fitted for them. Then it makes it viable on two guns instead of one.
Yeah, it's pretty handy. It really makes that 20 gauge. Yeah, it just brings whole new life to a 20 gauge 870, where the market before was okay. You could buy some replacement factory parts. Now you got the whole 12 gauge market. You got the Magpul SGAs. You got all sorts of recoil reducing stocks. It's all sorts of stuff. So pretty cool. It's just this little item, but I wanted to bring it on, make people aware of it.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yep.
Well, you want to talk about SHOT a little more?
Yeah, sure.
Because you want to talk about the 308 magazines that were you guys planning to have them there, or were they there?
Yeah, we did have them at the show.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we told it, we were saying, we'll have them out for January. Unfortunately, when we got all the parts in and we did our final testing, it wasn't 100%. So we weren't too happy with that. So we have to change some small things. So we got to turn around and get those fixed. So we're hoping to get those corrected here in the near future. And hopefully everything goes smoothly and we'll get those out to market here pretty soon. We did have them at the show. We were showing them off. And reception is pretty good to them. It's just we got them in that final batch and we didn't want to. It pretty much ran great. It's just some small things that we just didn't feel good about, shipping out just yet. And we feel pretty bad about, say in January we felt pretty good about it, and then stuff cropped up. So that's not how we like to do things. It's we feel pretty crummy about that, and hopefully we'll get them out here as soon as we can.
So was it like the final batch of prototypes, or did you actually have a production run?
Yeah, this was an issue with the production run, so we had to go back and fix some things. So yeah, needless to say, we were a little disappointed. So we'll get it corrected. We'll get magazines in hands here as soon as we can.
Well, that's really cool that you guys are fixing the issue, not just putting those out on the market.
Yeah, we could have sent them out. It's a minor issue, but it just wouldn't have, it would have made people happy. It would have cropped up. It just wasn't good. So we're getting that corrected. We'll have them out soon. We're pretty excited about them. Like I said last time when I brought them on, the 308 market in general is just pretty exciting. Let's see, there was, of course, the DPMS Gen 2 at the show. This year they had more models. I did see a few more companies kind of go into that smaller platform 308.
Yeah.
You are going to see one from Daniel Defense here pretty soon. They had a magazine article they were handing out. They didn't have the actual guns at the show, but that's coming out soon. That's pretty exciting. It's going to be that kind of smaller, slimmer 308 platform. Not the same internal design as the DPMS. But it, of course, takes the same pattern magazine, so our magazine will be compatible. But really pretty cool show as far as 308 and alternate calibers go.
So why is that? It seems we're seeing that more on the 308 platform, is that manufacturers are not necessarily sticking to a standard, where like on the AR-15 side.
Yep. Well, with the 308, there's probably various reasons. People mainly didn't want to feel like they had to stick to a pattern that is it's been around for a while, the DPMS pattern. And really, DPMS isn't necessarily the de facto military use. Really, Knight's Armament, those are the guns that were in use, and nobody followed really that pattern outside of, say, LMT as far as the lower receiver, the upper receiver. Why DPMS went to that other version, down defense, is that really that receiver is pretty long as originally designed. And what they're doing is they just shorten it up, make it as small as possible, just making those general improvements. Now, things that are compatible are the AR-15. The triggers are compatible across the board. Magazines, a few like takedown pins, that sort of thing. What's going to be tough for us in the parts market is things like barrels and bolts aren't going to be interchangeable. We're going to do our best to support all the guns we can, but now that we kind of get into this, diversified 308 platform, it's going to make things a bit more interesting. And consumers are going to have to pay a lot more attention as far as what parts are going to fit their gun. They're going to have to be a lot more brand specific than, say, they are with AR-15. They can buy pretty much anyone's brand and make it work. I think the good thing, though, with the 308 stuff, it's all these different manufacturers coming in. It is going to make things more competitive price-wise, so that's exciting. You can get into a 308 for a lot cheaper, where before it was $1,500, $2,000. There'll, of course, still be all those models, but I think you're really going to start to see that sub-$1,000 308 kind of take hold and kind of stick around there, which makes it a lot more appealing. Of course, the ammo is not as cheap, but people aren't using these same way they're using AR-15s.
I wonder if one reason that the AR-15 platform is more in line, all the companies are pretty much in line with each other, is because when the AR-15 was young, and for really the first, decade or so, there was only a handful of companies in the AR-15 marketplace.
Sure.
Whereas now there's, dozens and dozens in that marketplace. Yeah. So,
well, there's also, everybody has military prints to look to for the AR-15 or M16, so that really helped things there in the 80s. When a lot of, actually over here in Illinois and Iowa, in Minnesota, where those kind of like DPMS, Armalite, Lewis Machine Tool, where they kind of looked at that pattern and how they could replicate it, how they could get parts to the civilian market. And really, if you recall, the early Colt guns, which came to the civilian market, which were really the first on the market, they had different pinhole diameters. They had things done to the carrier to make them completely different. You don't see those parts anymore. The big hole lowers and upper receivers. Oh, yeah. The carriers are pretty goofy. The lower receivers have things done to really make them. That first run of Colts, and they stuck with it for a while, was really to make it clear to the ATF that this is not a M16. It's not full auto. It's just a semi-auto gun. Can't take the same parts. And thankfully, we've gotten away from that, and it's standardized. But that was the case with the AR-15 early on. It took it a while, probably till around 2000 or so, maybe a little later, maybe around the assault weapon ban expiration, before stuff really standardized and got to where we are today.
Right. So, what else you want to talk about? SHOT? Did you have much time to walk around, or were you in a lot of meetings? What SHOT show looked like for Paul Levy? Sure.
I had meetings usually a little bit before show started. I had meetings with vendors at the booth or at their booth. I try to get a good mix, so I'm not stuck at the Brownell's booth, and I can get out and visit people's booth, especially if they have new products. Our team here works with the products, so we gotta get hands on, take a look at things. So frequently I'm walking, I'm going to their booth, and along the way it's great too, as I get to check out the new suppliers I never would have came across sitting here in Iowa, and if I had stuck in the booth. So that's really a great aspect. And really, a lot of the innovation, you got all the big flashy booths upstairs, you got the big names, the manufacturers, but really you go downstairs into the side ballrooms, and that's where law enforcement and the tactical community kind of is, where you first get a booth, basically, where they stick you.
Right.
And that's where you see a lot of the innovation. One thing I've noticed a lot is it seems like AR-15 lower receivers that accept Glock magazines. Those seem to be really catching steam and gaining hold. Glocks in general, or accessories for Glock or aftermarket barrels, slides, and even frames. A lot of people are diving into those. companies that were manufacturing parts for AR-15s before. They're just looking to branch out. They're doing what they can do in the AR-15. They're fulfilling that need, and now they want to jump into a new market. And that next logical step is a Glock for a lot of companies. So you're going to see some exciting slides, some aftermarket options. Of course, Glock now has the red dot compatible guns, but you're going to see a lot of people offering that as an upgrade. The slides, barrels, just some cool offerings that there was kind of a unique, very specific community before, and those guys are still going to be with it, still doing great things. But a lot of people are diving into that, and I thought that was pretty intriguing.
Yeah, that is, well, and even Magpul is diving in that realm now. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, very cool. So are you on the roster for NRA show in Nashville?
Well, regardless of whether or not I'm on the roster, I'm going to head out there anyways. I'll make my trek over there. I like the NRA show. I think that's I think the size is more manageable for people to check out things. And especially if I'm not working the booth, it's pretty fun to be able to go around and check out things. There's stuff there you don't see, say, at SHOT Show. You have the collector groups that set up. I think last year they had a Vickers collectors group, which was they had 8 or 10 different Vickers machine guns, which you don't see at SHOT Show. So that sort of thing I really get a kick out of. They had speaking of Glock, they had a Glock collector that had every variation of Glock going back to whatever 1981 and forward. It was pretty neat. So that's the type of stuff I love at the NRA show. And of course, all our customers go there. We get to meet them face to face. They get to tell us what's working with Brownells, what's not, what we can do better. That's always good to hear. People should never worry about coming up to us and tell us what we're doing wrong. We like to be able to address things and get some progress made.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, sounds good. Well, I think that about wraps up the main topic, unless you had any final thoughts.
No, I think that's it. Hopefully this next show I'll be able to bring on some items, some samples that we came across at SHOT, some physical parts, and we could talk about those.
So do you kind of get an influx of new stuff to check out after SHOT?
Oh, yeah.
Big time?
Yep. That's a good thing. It's all kind of condensed into one time frame. So we get a lot of people. We meet them face to face. We get our cards out there. And then kind of this week and the next few weeks, it goes on for a little while just to be able to go through it all. We get a lot of submissions. Of course, we're a high-profile company, and we'd love to carry, everybody's parts. But it can be a lot of things that come through. So we get to see pretty much everything that's innovative. It's very rare that something kind of flies under that was really a hit in the community. We either seek it out or people come to us with it.
Very cool.
Ballroom jeans, fire hose work pants, and long-tail tees are 3 favorites among the men of Gun Guy Radio. Duluth Trading Company has perfected the art of clothing the manly man. If you want manly comfort that's trusted by these gun guys, go to gunguyradio.com/Duluth and check out the other manly essentials Duluth Trading Company offers gun guys like us.
Real quick, if you'd like to crowdfund Gun Guy Radio, you can go to patreon.com/gun. And it's an easy way for you to crowdfund the show. You can pledge $1 an episode or $5 an episode. And, it helps bring more free pro-gun podcasting to you every week. And I'd like to thank all of our current patrons and also thank everyone for pledging their support for the network's Patreon at patreon.com/FRN. And LA Police Gear has given some bailout bags for these random battle boxes I'll be sending out to any patron. Once in a while, I'll randomly draw a patron and send out a battle box full of swag and stuff. So you could have a $50 Duluth Trading Company gift card, Duke Cannon Supply, gift box of big-ass bricks of soap, and gungoddess.com $25 gift cards. And list goes on and on and on. And also Works holsters, $25 gift cards as well. And many more things that are on my shelf over here. Some T-shirts, some hats. So if you're a patron, you can be in the drawing for those random battle boxes. I just sent 2 out, so go to patreon.com/gun or patreon.com/FRN. And also, if you're looking for some awesome graphic design work for your business or hobby, or sticker for your truck or whatever you need designed, check out Ryan Cross at Hunter of Design. He's designed all the awesome artwork we have here at the Firearms Radio Network. Well, Paul, that about wraps us up. So next week, next month, we'll be looking for all that awesome new SHOT Show products that you'll be bringing on the show. I'm holding you to it.
All right, I'll be sure to bring it.
Well, thank you so much. And you can leave your feedback by commenting at the bottom of the show notes at gunguy.radio.com/153. Remember to subscribe and leave an iTunes review. Please consider joining the NRA and Second Amendment Foundation. Don't forget to shop Brownell using our affiliate link, gunguyradio.com/satisfaction, and Amazon's affiliate link at firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And also check out all the other awesome shows on the Firearms Radio Network. Well, thank you, Paul.
Yep, no problem.
And
talk later.
That's a wrap, and we'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. In a world where the mainstream media only talks about clips and ghost guns, where do you turn for accurate firearms news?
We know people like Ultimac rails, which, as far as I'm concerned, for gas tubes on custom AKs is a standard.
Live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central.
The magic of tracking point, I don't think, is the optic per se, because the optics don't make you shoot better; they make you see better, right? But the magic of tracking point is that it separates stability from trigger control.
This Week in Guns has been broadcasting the truth for over 100 episodes.
Like, haha, idiot, not, haha, now you don't have a finger.
It's funny when you say it like that.
Yeah, they're both kind of funny.
Featuring the Full Auto News segment. Stories the real media refuses to talk about.
I wonder if there's anybody over there who likes firearms freedom like us.
ThisWeekinGuns.com or search This Week in Guns on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher app. Want more pro-gun podcasts like this one? Show your support by contributing to patreon.com/FRN. It's a great way to help create more of these pro-gun radio shows. Head on over to patreon.com/FRN today.